Hello, everybody. I hope you're doing well today. As you can see by my attire, I'm wearing all black today. And why am I wearing all black? We're in remembrance, mourning today. And what are we in mourning of? Another book that is finished, another book that is going to continue its life past me. And that book today is Fahrenheit 451. To my knowledge, as I found out afterwards, a lot of my friends and acquaintances read this book in high school. So I received a myriad of responses of, "Oh, what are you reading that for? Oh, is that for an assignment? Oh, what are you reading that for? You're reading that for fun?" It was one of those situations. But yes, I was reading this for fun. So with that knowledge, I'm sure many people know what this book is and what this book is about and what its significance is. But if you're like me and have no idea, please join me. I'm going to talk about this book, what I took away from it, and what I thought was important. And let's just jump right into it. So, right away, looking at the cover, what is now quite a faded red, used to be a very brilliant red, and black cover, very stark, almost old school, retro feeling cover. We have up at the top, 60th anniversary edition. This book is 60 years old when I bought it, and I bought it in, I'm not sure. If I find a year, I'll let you know. But I've had this book for a little while, so it's over 60 years old at this point. It has the title, Fahrenheit 451, by Ray Bradbury, with a new introduction by Neil Gaiman, as well as a matchbook on the front cover in this black and almost cream white. So, if you have read this book before or have heard anything about this book, you'll know that the importance of the title, Fahrenheit 451, is the temperature at which a book burns. That's the idea, is that a book will burn at 451 degrees Fahrenheit. This story is about a dystopian future where our main character is a firefighter, but not in a typical firefighting, not what we think of as in fighting fires, as in using fires to spread fire. So what does that mean? Well, in this future, books have been banned. They banned books. The firefighters now travel around. Oh, you reported that there's a book in this building. We're going to go burn down those books and burn all the house down, because books are not relevant anymore. They cause emotional distrust. They split groups of people apart. People think that they're better than others because they read. Knowledge is just not needed in this world. Don't worry, we'll tell you everything you need to know. One of those situations. So, our main character, Montag, is a firefighter. And one day, he just kind of snaps. Not really snaps, but comes to a conclusion of, I want to read. A book falls into my hands. I'm not even allowed to look at it. What is the big deal about these books? Because this world is full of crime and jurisdiction and tyranny, and there's a war happening, an inevitability of a fight to come to our homeland. What could possibly be so bad about books that is what we're focusing on? So, the back reads, Guy Montag is a fireman. His job is to destroy the most illegal of commodities, the printed book, along with the houses in which they are hidden. Montag never questions the destruction and Montag never questions the destruction and ruin his actions produce, returning each day to his bland life and his wife, Mildred, who spends all day with her television family. But when he meets an eccentric young neighbor, Clarice, who introduces him to a past where people didn't live in fear, and to a present where one sees the world through the ideas in books instead of the mindless chatter of television, Montag begins to question everything he has ever known. This book is very good. And I know from a lot of people I talk to, it being a recommend or a mandatory reading in school and high school, other people have kind of expressed that. I didn't really understand it. I didn't really get a whole lot out of it. But this book is very important because, and I don't want to spoil. I don't want to spoil the book too intently, but there's an overarching theme of just being curious about the world. A lot of people in this dystopian future and in this book are kind of content having people explain to them everything that they have ever needed and are okay with living the same life every single day, not having to think about anything, watching TV all day, having the government explain it all to them, eating, sleeping, repeating, just doing a job. And keep in mind, this book was written in roughly the 50s, 60s, so, the wife is a stay-at-home wife, doesn't have a job, very typical, does the dishes, wears a little apron and stuff. Very of the time. But the pursuit of knowledge and the idea that we're coming to a world where this book isn't too far off. One of the main ways that people ingest entertainment in this book is through these parlor rooms, through television sets, where they're less like TV that we're picturing and more like the room is filled with holographic images or people that you can sit and talk to and chat to and enjoy their presence as opposed to real people. And I thought that was very interesting because at the time that I'm reading this, in the current day and age of 2024, the Apple Vision Pro just came out. The Oculus and these like VR headsets are continuing to develop, and AI is continuing to make bounds and leaps every single day. So we're coming to a world where this isn't so far off from what we think it is. This kind of parasocial movement that happened on YouTube a couple years ago is so justly represented in this book, which was written over 60 years ago at this point. So the idea that as a society, we're not too far off from what this book is continuing to talk about, and it's only continuing to be more relevant, that I thought it was very interesting reading it in this day and age of, wow, because, 10 years ago, cell phones, okay, then flat screen TV, okay, now video games, AI, boom, boom, boom. We're just continuing to progress down this line, that this book is continuing to stay very relevant. On top of that, the idea that to make everybody equal, it's not about everybody getting education or being educated. It's about nobody being educated. Kind of prevails, especially politically, in a lot of senses of, it's a lot easier to match the energy of the least working person than it is to the hardest working person. And if nobody kind of sticks out in this crowd or wants to be creative or express themselves individually, not only do we all fall in line and just go through the motions of the day, but it creates a very dangerous setting where not only are we not ourselves and not allowed to be ourselves, But when there is somebody who comes along and expresses a want to education, or even from a childlike lens of just being interested in the world and curious about what's going on, you're almost seemed dangerous, almost deemed dangerous, and seem to be defying the way of life just because you have more than a basic understanding of what the world looks like. And there's a very satisfying ending to this book. The main character is not really portrayed as a good guy or a bad guy. When he's a firefighter, he's just doing his job. He's just doing what he has to. And when he starts to stand up to this role, this idea, it's not because he's a bad person in society and is turning his back away from everybody, but it's also not because he's a good guy of, I'm going to be a hero and stand up for what is right. It's more about the human expression of just wanting to be yourself and wanting to pursue your curiosity and your knowledge and really drive you forward into an area where presumably nobody has been interested in enough. There's a section in the book where our main character gets his hands on part of a Bible, and it is such a monumentous thing of, well, I have my hands on this Bible, I have my hands on this book that was incredibly relevant. And the idea of the Bible, which, unless I'm mistaken, is the most sold copy of any book ever. I believe it's technically the King James Version is the most sold. But either way, the Bible is the most circulated book in history. And the idea that, in our current day and age, you almost can't, if you go to a bookstore or a hotel, especially a hotel where there's a Bible in a nightstand, there's just so common we don't think about it being a book. Or you see the first copy of a Harry Potter book and you go, oh, that's cool. I've read the Harry Potter book. I see it everywhere. The idea that we don't even think about having these as an option, taking advantage of or taking for granted the fact that there are books everywhere, really puts into perspective this idea of books have become very scarce. So I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was great. I really liked the main character. I liked the way it was written. It's got a little bit of a slow start, but it's a relatively short book. This book is, the text is not very small. It's pretty reasonably sized. And it's about 150 pages. And this one actually does come with kind of some context in the back, so anniversary edition style. But I think if you have any interest in the ideas of being educated or shunning away from a society, or if you like stories that are about dystopian futures like I do, I think this book is a good read. And if you haven't read this book in a long time, I think it would be worth picking up again to kind of refresh yourself and compare it to, if I had read this when I was 10, the newest technology, Nintendo DS, the Wii, If it has been a while since you've read this book, I recommend you pick it up and see how scary these parallels are. There's an idea in this book that once you read something, it never really leaves you. You'll always remember it to some extent, and it's going to become part of your life. And I think that that's a very good takeaway from this book, and is something that I'm going to harp on about why I want to read more as opposed to scrolling or swiping or watching videos. Everything you read will stay with you. I don't know. I just thought it was very, very poetic idea to have, books represent more than just a story that you're reading, but something that you can internalize and keep with you and then move forward throughout life. So, with that being said, I think this book was great. If I had to rate it, I'd give it an 8 or 9 out of 10. I don't think it's perfect. I think there are some parts where it drones on a little bit, but I think for what it is and the message that it gives, this is a fantastic book, and if I was you, I'd check it out. So that is all for me today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have agreed with me on some points. If you have thoughts about this book, put it in the comments. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll keep making more. And I hope to see your comment in the next video as well.